Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales as if you could breathe through the bottoms of your feet. Allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet your feet. Connecting with the flora and fauna. The alive network of intelligence. That connects all living things. Just allowing any excess energy in the nervous system to be discharged through the bottoms of your feet, through your connection to the planet. Connecting with the energy of source. Zooming out from even here, connecting with beyond that which we usually consider to be beyond. Just feeling the expansive emptiness. Letting a sacred hush fall over you. Just resting, relaxing, unwinding. Feeling the organic codes of life interpenetrating all the particles of your being. Letting every part of you remember its connection and collective consciousness with all of life. Demanding and requesting that any electromagnetic static in the collective field, in the body, throughout any layer or level, known or unknown, to be harmonized with organic intelligence. Allowing any waves, patterns, problems to dissolve and disintegrate in this sea of consciousness. Allowing grace to touch all parts of you. Feeling the mana, the chi, the life force energy raising up from the earth, and the organic intelligence of the planet. charging up. All of your mitochondria, assisting the mitochondria in making the transition into photosynthesizing and metabolizing light. Just allowing this organic intelligence of the planet purge from all layers and levels of your being. Anything incongruent or incompatible with who we are and who we are becoming. Allowing grace and mercy to soften the grip, the mind. And any identities or attachments to what is no longer. Working with the consciousness of salt, minerals of the planet, purify, harmonize, ground, and integrate the electromagnetic frequencies of your luminous light body. Further activating, widening, opening meridians and channels for diamond consciousness. letting all old personal stories, dramas, traumas, and even the architecture of karma itself to dissolve and be let go of now. Allowing the parts of you that want to understand to just feel. This is our consciousness. It's what it means for me to become we. You're not losing personality or individuation. Just understanding your plurality. When understanding how to heal the body, it's important to know what you're healing. And that doesn't mean a diagnosis. doesn't mean knowing what particular bacteria or virus, parasite, fungus means being in complete connection and harmony with it. From this state of consciousness, from this knowing, from this activation, becomes much easier to communicate with so-called pathogens, with the conflicts that arise, creating symptomology in the body. This is a flavorful experience of unity consciousness. It's not something that is achievable. It's happening to you. It's happening within you, because of you. It has no hierarchy. It has no rules or regulations. But the entrance fee is love. The entrance fee is relaxing into the face of anything until it remembers itself within the eyes, within the projection of your seeing it as nothing other than love, or a call for love. The resentments, the shame, the guilt, sorrow, the depression, suicide. These are also symptoms. Symptoms of resolution, when you can talk to bacteria, a virus, anything, they don't perceive themselves as incorrect or wrong. They may not know what they're doing, and they're just playing their part. And essential to this part is assisting your consciousness through evolution. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungus. Stop fighting them. In the space of unity consciousness, which is woven and expressing itself, yet not always recognized in everything. What is fighting something? But when you come to this aspect of consciousness that may be causing you discomfort, try communicating, softening, collaborating. It has its own ideas, its own perceptions of reality. And yet, just like you, is working perfectly in harmony with the intelligence of life, whether it knows it or not. So when you are akamai or clever, aware to that, you can speak directly to it and negotiate. Much like some of you make contracts with the mice in your house. Just don't come inside. You may be wondering what it's like to communicate with bacteria or viruses. They communicate with feelings, thoughts. When working towards clearing something. Oftentimes it's the initial response that codes the entire structure of how that particular aspect of consciousness is assisting your evolution. So whether a disease makes you feel unlovable, agitated, hopeless, abandoned, or whatever you feel, that is what it is helping you to evolve. Thank you for helping me shift my unlovability and loving it into my adoration, love and celebration of myself. Mahalo. Thank you for ripping fear from my body. Thank you for dragging me through hopelessness and pulling me out of it. Thank you for irritating the fuck out of me. And liberating condensed passion. Maybe it's something that makes you feel ugly. You don't want people to see you. This is powerful because it is clearing one of the final blocks to the ascension and integration of consciousness, vanity. And not that being beautiful or aspiring to express more beauty is wrong. But there's a difference between being seen and sharing an image. You are unfathomably beautiful. No image you could portray could even hold a candlelight to this. It's in the imitation and the mimicry of others that we lose our unique frequency within the harmony and sea of life. Just because we're connected to all of life doesn't mean we all have to look, think, act, or even love the same. Maybe it's something you feel embarrassed about. Shameful about. This is just grounding you in a sensation that we call embarrassment or shame. And it's positive and uplifting, understanding, simply grounding, and letting all the distortions, the misinterpretations, mistranslations of your innocence, your beauty, your love, being released so that you can be more of you once again. Nothing is trying to hurt you. When you can really understand that, no matter what you're facing, you're simply facing an aspect of God you haven't met yet. And you can curse that face and bind it, try to release it, push it away, cleanse it, purify it, resolve it. Nothing will touch it until you accept and receive what it is. Just allowing everything that is static noise above this 0 point field of silence of our collective consciousness to evaporate and be replaced by your soul's direct connection to source's transmission of more of you that is ready to be here now. Show us. Pulling in all aspects of you that are ready to come online. And just gently asking all emotional memory held within the intestines is ready to be released and remembered within the eyes of Source to be done so now. Just opening up this session for the most miraculous, transformative, resolving, integrating, embodying, download, activation, clearing, healing, and initiation for the sacral, for the emotional body, for the clearing and activation of the lymphatic system, the glymphatic system, cerebrospinal fluid, fascia, and the kidneys, the bladder, the sexual organs, and all collagen matrices, and the network of intelligence throughout all your connective tissues, throughout all layers and levels of being, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Turning on all transpersonal filaments, assisting the integration of collective consciousness. Having your soul's direct connection to source. Work with all your sexual energies. Cleaning, restoring, defragmenting all aspects of your sexual energy in accordance to your soul's direct connection to source. Breathing through any layers of density coming up to be witness. Commanding and requesting that your soul's direct connection to source cleanse, clear, purify, and release all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perceptions, or perspectives related to sexual energy, its use, in accordance to the highest truth of your being, absent of any of the imprints, overlays, projections, rules or regulations other than the universal law of love, guiding all presences within every body. Purifying to your unique frequency as it relates to sex and all aspects of this, known or unknown. and any cords, attachments that may be cut on your behalf at this time, resolved to completion between you and anyone that you've had sex with. That you've desired and been rejected, or been desired and rejected yourself, releasing you from all bonds, links, connections of this sort that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Allowing your soul to come in and work with your sexual energies, refining them. Some of you have a lot of pressure and sexual energy, ideas, understandings of purification from a very specifically Catholic understanding. And just purging, releasing, clearing that from the collective field. Just lifting the weight of oppression. This weight is the collective heaviness of thoughts repeated over and over and over again. That religions perpetuate. And that society rebels against and perpetuates in the opposite distortion in the other extreme. Downloading directly through your soul's connection to source, your most sacred, honoring, and delicious expression of your sexual energy. Releasing all mental blocks and barriers. That are incongruent and incompatible to your specific upgrades. And working with the consciousness of money, seeing all the connections between the sacral, water, flowing desire, currency, noticing connections, allowing this awareness to activate new perceptions as it relates to money, to sex, to desire, and emotions. And through your soul's direct connection to source, asking for the greatest upgrade, activation, integration, and embodiment as it relates to the consciousness of money. Purifying the emotional field of your body as it relates to money. Feeling waves and patterns of self-doubt, which lead to overconsumption, dissolving and resolving. Commanding and requesting that all deficiencies and overextensions of energy as it relates to money in all known or unknown ways, discovered or undiscovered, all polar opposites, all charges, all unpaid debts, consciousness contained within them, fully received, witnessed, understood, collaborated with. Money can have a very fatherly, tainted energy to it in a distorted way, where we try to use money to feel safe. And then the masculine feels overburdened, or in this case, money feeling overused. Debt. Keeping you in a hungry cycle, never feeling nourished by what's here, And just reprogramming and rewriting that program. Through your soul's direct connection to source. And just working with the lymphatic system. The physical expression of the emotional body. It's our interaction with boundaries. Commanding and requesting any stagnant emotional energy to gently move and be expressed. Give myself permission to fully feel my feelings. Working with the lymphatic system, which connects into the brain. Allowing all mental attachments to any emotion being or not being felt, seen, experienced to be released, cleansed, and cleared. This is actually what trauma is. It's just stuck emotional energy. Emotions typically get stuck through the mind. Trying to understand a feeling, trying to figure out whether it's yours or someone else's. Blaming others with the identification of being an empath. No one is in charge of emotion. There's just an emotional charge. Teaching all aspects of your lymphatic and glymphatic systems throughout all layers and levels of being, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. How to properly move emotional energy in accordance to your highest template, as guided by your soul's direct connection to source. Just releasing any backlog of information between the mind and the body and the mind. Fully feeling the restriction, the brain fog, the disorganized attention span, the dysregulation, and just understanding that this is simply trapped emotional energy in its mental form. And just breathing that out. Give myself permission to feel my fears, and it's okay. And just working with the brain itself. Creating all the architecture and technology within the brain, assisting your experience of reality into this expanded consciousness. And just working with the sexual organs or all parts of your body throughout all layers and levels associated or related specifically for you as being part of your sexual system, energy, and through your soul's direct connection to source, pulling any density, closing all contracts, as it relates to these systems. Replacing it with your soul's highest expression in form available at this time. Just bringing to mind if there's anyone that needs to be forgiven as it relates to sex. Maybe it's yourself. For men, it could be very performance-based. For women, perhaps not being completely met, and vice versa. Whatever needs to come to the surface, allowing itself to become obvious. Many times, all that's needed to clear what you would call sexually transmitted illnesses is deep forgiveness. The right amount of forgiveness can be instantly transmuted. And in order to be transmuted, they have to be completely honored as equal aspects of consciousness. Oftentimes it's not realized that there's a lot more that can be communicated through sex, like emotions conveyed through sex. How does this person feel about you? What are their intentions? Are they using you? These frequencies are connected to the act. I'm just commanding and requesting that all frequencies, all thought forms, all emotional waves that were received in sex or at any time before or after that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming to be pulled, purged, cleansed, cleared, and purified from all layers and levels of your being. All attachments, identities, understandings of self, or perceptions or perspectives of the world around you as a result of these emotional or thought wave patterns be fully cleared now. Commanding and requesting that any secondary thoughts, emotions, identities, attachments that were created out of these initial misperceptions, as these were never yours to begin with, to also be cleared, cleansed, purified, and released down the line of 7 levels from here. All fully cleansed, cleared, purified, and released out of all aspects of your being, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, in direct accordance to your soul's connection to source, guiding the process in the highest and best way for you. Thank you, Shami. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all influences on mind, body, and soul level, subconscious, conscious, unconscious, from any media, specifically pornography, advertising, all subliminal messages, as well as all religious or spiritual texts, teachings, or memories contained within the DNA, and epigenetics that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming, out of alignment and distorted from your soul's direct connection to source, to be pulled, released, cleansed, cleared, and replaced with your soul's highest, best, and healthiest understandings, perspectives, and perceptions, as guided through your soul's connection to source. Show us. Collapsing all waves and memories of vindictive sexual acts, whether someone friend of yours slept with an ex, or any of these sorts of storylines where there was anger, jealousy, resentment. Just allowing these stories to be collapsed in the highest and best way. Clearing any entities attached through sex, just fragmentations of consciousness, just sending these fragments back to their rightful owners with grace, mercy, and unconditional love. Collapsing all waves and patterns of associating sex with performance. Any and all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that would create anxiety within your sexual energy, or organs, tissues, or cells, collapsing all conflicts that have arisen out of a sexual nature. This can create erectile dysfunction. Can also stop a woman from having an orgasm. So all this tension in the body strong energies of loneliness as it relates to sex. Just allowing these to be met, fully received. And if loneliness is something that's coming up, just try saying to yourself, I want to be lonely. Which helps discharge the frequency of loneliness. Asking for your soul's direct connection to source's highest activation of your sexual energy and desires, connections, facilitating the best outcome for you, your partner or partners. Outcome referring to connection, the quality of the connection, and downloading all worthiness, perspective, perceptions, understandings that are required in order for you to experience the next level, an expansion of your pleasure, of your right to deep, relaxing intimacy, and the self-value, the self-esteem. To receive a partner or partner's love. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions around how you relate or should relate. All ideas of monogamy or polyamory that are incongruent, incompatible to your soul's direct connection to sources, perspective for what is right for you. More loosely, you hold ideas of monogamy or polyamory, the more both containers can hold the frequency of honesty, and how you choose from there is for you and your partner or partners alone. How you wish to embody desire, it's for you. You're given the gift of desire and the capacity to create. And just stripping, cleaning, releasing, purifying all ideas, understandings, perceptions, or perspectives, all identities and attachments to the concept of karma as it relates to sex and sexual energy and desire itself. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing this. This doesn't mean that you may not feel the projections of others, of what they believe. This gets very into the concepts of right or wrong. Since we're in the sacral, this is very related to original innocence. And in the anatomy of awakening, we understand that this is where our intelligence, our consciousness, our presence resides, but also the distortions of sin or wrongness, shame or guilt, and receiving the projections of others when fully living in your freedom is the price of admission to expressed liberation. And just downloading the worthiness required for you to live in sovereign communion with your desires. And we can also begin to relate to the energy of desire in a different way, depersonalizing from desire, so that true intimacy can be received. Desires arise like a suggestion, Sometimes we desire to speak, but where is that desire coming from? Sometimes we desire to be with someone, but where is that desire coming from? So you can see that the interior design of your being determines the quality and output of your creations. And when you've sufficiently cleansed, cleared, and purified your interior design, which doesn't mean you have to be perfect, you just have to be clear enough in order to transmute something instantaneously, or, as we've said previously, commanding things to be transmuted, but then being willing to face without resistance all that's going to come up in order to make that so. Working with the emotions and cleaning this way is much more gentle and way more advised. And just bridging all of this into money once again. These two energies are intimately connected, which is exactly why there's so much shame around sex work, tantric work, anything that seemingly mixes money and sex, because they are naturally coming from the same energetic source of desire. So you can see why it's fun and easy to boast about having lots of money, or how teenage boys boast about their sexual conquests as an identification. But what happens when you free sex, when you free money, when you free love and let these things flow through you as a current? It's releasing, cleansing, clearing, purifying all traumatic identities and attachments with sex or money. In direct connection to your soul's connection to source. Just allowing these images, memories to rise and release. Remembering the sacredness of money, sacredness of sex, and of all emotional experiences with either of them. Understanding that how we relate to sex, how we relate to money, have an emotional quality to them when you listen deeply enough? Are we telling sad stories? Resentment or anger for not having what we desire? Jealousy, envy, all of these place us outside of where we are and create a very, very, very subtle frequency of anxiety, of lack. This is actually where a lot of hookup culture results from, as well as hyper capitalism with zero attention to the ecosystem. It's a vampiric energy. It's a narcissistic energy, where narcissism means living in lack or scarcity without the ability to receive. And just repatterning, reformulating all memories, times, or places with any person or circumstance where you were on the receiving end of this type of energy, or you knowingly or unknowingly were expressing this. We've all done both. Collapsing the polarities and the charges around narcissism and empathic persons. Holding all of it in unconditional love. So working with the energies of being supported in your life on any layer or level. Working with the lower back. Just allowing anything that's ready, willing, or able to be purified at this time in the light of your soul's direct connection to Source and the guidance therein to be done now. Collapsing all waves and patterns of being unable to support oneself. Feeling obligated to support others. Feeling rejected or abandoned. Feeling isolated. And allowing your soul to recognize the benefit, the value, and the perfection throughout all these experiences. how being isolated caused you to drive yourself closer to yourself, facing loneliness, rejection, abandonment, isolation can feel forsaking. Maybe you've spent your entire life in this place, feeling entirely lonely, entirely abandoned, rejected. And the final villain in your story is isolation. And it feels like the final nail in the coffin. Because it is. And you can either go with that coffin or you can be reborn. Reborn by dying to the isolation, releasing the victimhood, not as something that's bad to be in victimhood, which is just another way that the victim tries to maintain its constancy in your field by perceiving victimhood as something that you're victimized by. But rather soaking in the initiatory power of isolation, of abandonment, of rejection, allowing yourself to receive the full integration of these initiations, where all the toxic sludge in your cup is emptied and you learn to fill yourself up. And working with the intestines, small intestines, the large intestines, colon, the rectum, all the way to the bottom of the stomach. Just allowing your direct connection to source. Cleanse, clear, purify, release. All unresolved, stagnant emotional energy coiled within the intestines. To be unwound, released, transformed in the highest and best way for you at this time. And releasing all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that led to them being held within the body or any layers or levels of the body, regardless of how much time or space they take up. Resolving them to the root, to completion now. Just allowing your soul to witness the value and presence of each memory as they arise. Breathing deeply, slowly, gently. Releasing any attachments, identities, perceptions, or perspectives that lead to and invite parasitic energies, people, or literal parasites. Asking that all of these be cleansed, cleared, purified, and released in direct accordance to your soul's connection to source. Just witnessing these energies ceasing to feed off of you. Unifying, strengthening, the lining of the gut, the intestinal walls, allowing every in-breath to gently move any stuck energies in the intestines, feeling your digestion moving perfectly. Just feeling your angels and your guides. Just laying hands on your liver and your gallbladder, as well as your spleen. Purifying, breathing mana, chi, life force energy into these organs. Purifying their structures. Allowing these organs to produce frequency and tone that neutralizes any discordant aspects that are alive specifically for you. And hearing these tones now. Seeing sacred waterfall, the most life-giving water coming from behind you to wash your entire urinary tract, starting with the kidneys, hydrating, purifying, cleansing any dirty air, any wood, fire, metal, any crossed elements any imbalances, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Within the kidneys, seeing, witnessing any stones dissolving, all resentments, all unforgiveness, all held, charged emotional energy related to these, any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that hold them in their place in an undissolved state. You release, cleanse, clear, purified from all layers and levels of being, physical to ethereal. And replace with your soul's direct connection to sources. Highest perspective perception. Downloading, activating, integrating, and embodying the kidneys for their highest form and function. Commanding all cells to return to their highest form and function now. And working with the adrenal glands just above the kidneys. Just asking that life force, chi, mana, charge your adrenal glands throughout all layers and levels in a balanced, harmonious, and healthy way, according to your soul's direct connection to source, for your highest and best at this time. Feeling that energy charging up, balancing all imbalances, clearing all waves and patterns that created these imbalances. Pulling, releasing waves and patterns of fatigue. Creating new waves and patterns of integration of the soul. Allowing any space in the body that's available to be filled up with more of your soul, to be integrated and embodied now. I'm working with the bladder, Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all waves and patterns of annoyance, irritation, agitation, anger, resentment, contempt, shame, feelings of dirtiness or wrongness. Rebuilding the tissues, the bladder, replacing these discordant energies. Seeing the collagen matrix within the bladder, tonifying, strengthening. This is similar matrix to that within inside the eyes. Tonifying this collagen matrix within the eyes as well. Healing, releasing, resolving, cleansing, clearing, purifying all quantumly entangled energies held in the tissues of the bladder as well as the eyes. All those times you saw something that pissed you off. This is one way that the energies between these two places are linked. There's a few who have some distortions in the way that the genetics that create the collagen are being expressed. Just working with these frequencies, resolving the corrupted data back to its original form in the highest, best, and healthiest way. This tends to happen with people who have blue-colored eyes. So weakness in the lymphatic system and collagen production. Commanding and requesting that these be resolved in the highest, best, and healthiest way for each of you, in accordance to your soul's connection to source. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing any interference, synthesis of amino acids, or anything related to collagen production, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Any pharmaceutical, chemical influence of any kind, known or unknown, affecting the production, synthesis, absorption, or integrity of collagen, or anything created by amino acids in the body, which is basically everything to be fortified in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you. As these influences are released, cleansed, cleared, purified, all frequencies, waves, and patterns of their imprinting released to completion now. Thank you, Shaman. Pulling and releasing these frequencies of these pharmaceutical drugs, and specifically antibiotics in the mitochondria, collapsing all waves and patterns, imprints, overlays, affecting the mitochondria, collapsing these prior to their creation and creating new waves and patterns of their highest form and function. Any dysregulation or dysfunction in any of these areas can result in massive dysregulation of the emotional body. So just cleansing, clearing, releasing these will create more harmony and stability throughout all layers and all levels of the body. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing any foreign influences from the Hara point in the gut. Ah, Working with the fascia and the pelvis, releasing any tension patterns that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Releasing all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perceptions, or perspectives that created any of these tension patterns within the fascia to also be released. Reforming, healing, restructuring any destabilization, the matrix of the body in this area, whether due to C-section, abortion, any surgical procedure, exams, anywhere and everywhere where the body felt violated in any way or disturbed. Showing the body that it is safe now. Releasing any waves or patterns, frequencies of violation, whether intentional or unintentional, known or unknown. Working with the ovaries and the testes, clarifying, releasing, purifying any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions which limit the vitality of these structures from physical to ethereal. Specifically releasing any mental waves or patterns, any beliefs, within the genetic levels. Pulling, releasing, clearing any religious projections. Strong theme of Catholicism today, just pulling, releasing these from the testes and ovaries. And working with all male-bodied individuals, releasing, cleansing, clearing, purifying any trauma related or associated to being circumcised. And if this is not you, just holding space. Witnessing the pain and suffering that this has caused collectively. Releasing, purifying all pre-verbal trauma. Reconnecting the spirit to the body, that it is safe to be inside your penis. This can create a disembodiment program or frequency where the soul doesn't feel safe fully inhabiting the penis because of extremely early trauma to this highly sensitive organ. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all distortions in the field related or associated to this. Allowing all medical professionals, parents, individuals throughout all time, space, and dimensions who saw this as necessary, appropriate, or good, holding it all in neutrality, forgiveness, mercy, and grace. Demanding and requesting that the nerve endings restructure themselves in accordance to their original template, returning sensitivity, releasing any memory trapped, held within the circumcision scar itself. Releasing all waves and patterns of violation, abandonment, even self-rejection. Witnessing, seeing, feeling your soul fully enter all the way to the glands. For female body participant, feeling, seeing, holding, witnessing the womb. Container of life. Releasing, cleansing, clearing all waves and patterns of resentment towards the masculine for being unable or unwilling to meet you in appropriate ways, in supportive ways. Recognizing the differences and similarities, the energetic structures. Feeling universal honor for the life-giving quality of your being, as is so natural to you. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all abuse, all use, all rape, all painful memories, experiences, circumstances, related, associated, connected into, femininity, womanhood, the structures of the vagina itself, pulling, scraping clean, releasing all cellular debris collectively, individually, throughout all layers and levels, from physical to ethereal, as it relates to the vagina. Any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions created out of these distortions, whether witnessed or internalized, resolve to completion now. Pulling, releasing, from the clitoris specifically. Any form of shrinking, society, anyone, maybe even yourself. Any shrinking from the full prowess and vitality of your womanhood that has caused you to sit back from fully expressing your femininity. From the power of the divine feminine within. Pulling, clearing, releasing, cleansing any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that are distorted from your soul's direct connection to source. Held within the tissues of the body. Allowing the full presence of your soul to fully enter the sacredness of your womb, all aspects of the anatomy of the vagina, fully sensitized and realized within the clitoris, recognizing the clitoris and the glands of the penis as wholly encoding these aspects of your body through your direct connection to source as being safe for you to embody and integrate into now. Thank you, Shomi. Clearing all waves and patterns of interference around orgasm, all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions related to orgasm, from religion, from spirituality, from the projections of others about how you should or should not receive or experience pleasure, while simultaneously maturing your experience of these to the highest frequency of your soul that you are able to embody now. And just feeling that light pouring in. Hearing, purifying, integrating these through the throat. In general, allowing female body participants greater access to expressing sexual desires, releasing all religious, spiritual programming, incongruent, incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming from the throat as it relates to the creative sexual energies, your divine birthrights. Unifying and strengthening these. And in general, for male-bodied participants, reharmonizing the throat chakra as it relates to these sexual and creative energies, tempering, bringing discernment, maturity, and honoring the full vitality of male sexual energy. And for each of you, through your soul's direct connection to source, balancing, harmonizing, strengthening, tonifying, resolving all energies within the throat and sacral related or associated to sexual, creative desires, emotional integrity, desire, in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. And allowing all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions to also be updated to these new frequencies. For your highest, best, and healthiest. And asking the angels of integration to continue integrating all of these energies in the highest and best way. So you slowly come back to your body. Go to the restroom if you need to. Take about 10 minutes. I'll see you at 1 p.m. Hawaii time, so in 11 minutes. Aloha, coming back online. I wonder how many of these people are actually just like completely asleep right now.
Or ascended.
There we go. How was that for you?
Long.
Yeah.
I was getting angry.
Amazing. Amazing. We'll just wait a couple minutes or two. If anyone would like to share something in this meantime, you're free to unmute yourself. Any questions or WTF was that?
Barrett, I have a question that's not related to what we just did, but I really appreciate the link to that podcast. And I listened to it. It was great. And I kept wondering, are animals' bodies and experiences similar? Like, do some of these concepts apply to animals also?
Absolutely. Also plants.
Plants too, huh? Okay.
Yeah, they have I mean, yeah, anything with consciousness like that has a psychological experience, psyche, and I think the designs are different depending, but they have their own emotional experience as well. And some plants actually hold like emotional codes and information, like the Hawaiian ferns, which can actually help us resolve those sorts of conflicts or issues that we come face to face with. So yeah, everything alive has that sort of experience, even things that we may not even traditionally think is alive. It's more like within the last little bit of time on Earth that we haven't considered to be alive. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Makes sense.
But yeah, that podcast, if you haven't already listened to it, is absolutely homework. There's like, you have to what?
I had to get over the annoyance of they sometimes would be far away from the mic and I couldn't hear what they were talking about. And there was one bit where one of the women was talking about Lyme. And I have a really dear friend that has been diagnosed with Lyme for several years. And I really wanted to hear that and couldn't. And I was like, I might need to listen several more times to pick it up.
Dang, totally. Yeah.
It's really good.
It's so good. Yeah, and I forget, I think it was Emily that was saying something really cool about GNM and just the experience of coming into contact with that information. It's truly life-changing. I forget, did I share with this group about the pain in my sternum? Did I share this? No? Okay. So one of the sort of like things that has happened in my body in the last actually since like 2018 was like this whole process, and it's multi layered, but one of the huge pieces is that starting in 2018, when I did like a full physical, they were like, your body isn't producing enough red or white blood cells. And she's like, and your white blood cells are like really low, like for what you would think of as quote unquote normal. But she's like, but you're completely healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. So, you know, let's just keep an eye on it or whatever. And I never really thought about it again. But so this whole cycle of what you would call leukopenia, or like a lack of white blood cells specifically, is related to a self-esteem conflict. And it's like, you know, different conflicts related to the skeletal system, the lymphatic system, they all sort of relate in some way or another to self-esteem, or yeah, basically self-esteem, varying flavors of it. But what's interesting is in German New Medicine, when you're coming out of the conflict active stage and going into the repair phase holds symptoms that, you know, regular doctors would say, oh, that's dis-ease, but it's actually the body repairing itself once the conflict is over. And the conflict is basically something that you couldn't expect, that you weren't prepared for, and that was sudden. And so something happens like that. Your body is then creating an immediate evolutionary adjustment to the environment. And most things that people call dis-ease are actually just the body's adaptation to a conflict that it still thinks is real, alive, and active in the field. So when we resolve these conflicts in the psyche level, emotionally, reframing things, the way that we look at things, it's all about relationships. And so when you shift and change those relationships, they begin to heal, and then you go into the repair phase. But what's interesting is, you know, my whole life I've been like super connected, but I would say in the last 3 years was like my initiation into the darkness. Like, I really didn't know what it meant to like feel separated from that. Like, I've always felt connected to, like, to me, it's so obvious. I'm like, how, I don't understand how people cannot see it, kind of a thing. But now I get it. And the last couple of years was the just like, you know, I don't know, 40 years in the desert kind of like vibe. And that severely impacted my like self-esteem. And because I just like, who am I? Like, I don't even know what is happening. Oh my God, my mic is like wrapped around my neck. It's not even plugged in. So can you still hear me? Cool. So what's interesting is all these energetic shifts were coming into place. And what's interesting is in German New Medicine, once you go into repair phase, it's about 6 months to completion. Well, it was almost exactly 6 months from the time that I did what I needed to do to end. I was given specific instructions in order to create resolve for this in my system. I took those actions. It took me a long time to make those actions because it was a very difficult initiation process for me. But upon completing those, it was 6 months of my body going into repair phase. And in the final last week and a half of that occurring, I felt just the energetics of extraordinary self-esteem returning. And it felt extraordinary, but it was actually just normal. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm used to feeling, like my sense of self. And we call it like the wise. So like once it's gone through that dip, you go from original innocence to wise innocence. There's the innocent part of ourselves, and then we come back to that place, but it's with a deeper integrity with the energetics of life and a maturation process. What's interesting is as that wave of self-confidence, self-esteem was returning to my body, I was feeling extreme pain
I mean, extreme. Like I was like, do I need to go to the doctor? Kind of like pain in my sternum, across my ribs, and in the pelvis. And I had just happened to get the physical copy of my Psychic Roots of Disease book, which is a German New Medicine book. And I'm like flipping through it, and I actually didn't even have the verbiage for leukopenia or lack of leukocytes. But I was like I was looking through and I was like, oh, leukopenia. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's, yeah, lack of white blood cells. Okay, what's this? Oh, self-esteem conflict. Oh, yep, that was resolved. And then it starts talking about how when you go into the repair phase, it is typically an unnoticed leukemia, which would be an extreme production of white blood cells. Once the body, it feels like, oh, I'm out of conflict, there's nothing to, fear. And the fear would be like a lack of self, right? Self-esteem reduction. So when that returns, then the body can go into that repair phase, and it produces massive amounts of white blood cells to repair the body to its natural organic state. Well, where does it say that those are produced? In the sternum and in the fourth rib and in the pelvis. And it says in the text, it says, upon entering the repair phase, you will experience extreme pain in the sternum, blah, 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 blah. And this is exactly where I was experiencing pain, and exactly at the same time that this conflict was completely resolving within my nervous system. So it's German New Medicine is understanding that the spirit is constantly speaking through the body, and there are varying ways to understand what is occurring. But what German New Medicine gives you is a foundation of understanding that everything has a purpose, that nothing is here to hurt or harm you. And that is what allows you to rest and relax even deeper. And what's interesting, as soon as I realized that that's what was happening, I was like, oh my God, this whole thing is like coming to real, total physical resolution. And I can relax into this process even more, because before it was like, yeah, I'd heard German New Medicine, whatever. It's like, okay, but we all know everything is, the body's resolving, whatever. It's like, okay, but to know the nitty gritty allows you to trust the body's natural process even more, and watch resolution that science doesn't believe is possible occur within your own body. And this has been done in cancer patients, in Lyme patients, in all sorts of diseases and disorders. In fact, I've even done this for conflicts relating to my hormones that occurred as a child, realizing the conflict with my father was causing my body to shut down testosterone. And upon completing that, the next day I was going through puberty, because the body is it's holding tension, if you think about it. So there's just all these tension patterns that the body is holding through various conflicts on the brain level, and that part of the brain is connected to a certain part of the body, tissue-wise, organ-wise, system-wise. And so when that pressure is released, the body can go back to its natural state. And sometimes the adaptations don't completely go away, but it's not pathogenic in nature for those things to remain. So different adaptations that the body makes during conflict states may actually stay there permanently. And it's not anything to worry about. And it's actually, the body is adapting to be more able to handle life's experiences. And the next time your bandwidth to be able to move through a conflict may not even result in a conflict, because your bandwidth of what's possible for you to hold in the container of your consciousness is expanded. So yeah, German New Medicine, absolutely incredible. But here's the thing. I've learned German New Medicine in many ways by tapping in to myself and asking what's going on. Yes, it's taken a lot of learning and trusting and whatnot, but I've just made it a practice to check in with myself and ask what's happening. And then later learning that I was right, or I was slightly off and I needed to, figure out more information, whether within or through, books or whatnot, to refine the information that I was getting. But don't let that stop you from starting now and tapping into your body and asking, what do I need? Is there, what kind of supplements do I need? Or do I need any supplements right now? Like, how is my body? Where am I holding tension or resistance in the body? What pathways is that coming from? Is that from a relationship with my mother, or from, my dad, or something that happened in childhood, or even something that's happening right now? How are we breathing? Which brings me to another interesting experience. I was at my favorite little place in Paia called Choice. And I sat down and had an acai bowl with this man. And I had just met him. And he told me that he had healed multiple sclerosis by breathing, by changing his breathing patterns. And I shared with him my journey and experience in great detail, and we were just going back and forth and like feeding each other in this way. And when you realize that everything in the body essentially boils down to, where am I holding tension, which is basically a conflict. So you don't even need to know what the conflict is. Like me, I go in and I scan the brain. I'm like, show me what conflicts, and I'll see little pinpricks on the brain. And I'm like, okay, what's this? Oh, it's this kind of a conflict. It's that kind of conflict. And then you can command it to clear. As I've said before, that can cause like all kinds of shifts emotionally to come up, because that tension that the body is holding is literally an emotional charge that hasn't been discharged yet. So one of the easiest ways to resolve conflicts without having to know any of these details, it's ridiculously simple. Go into the body, relax. Where am I holding tension? Where am I holding resistance? What is there? And when you become aware of what is there, it's what we don't want to feel. What you don't want to feel literally creates within your nervous system the actual energetic architecture that draws that experience to you. So if you don't want to be abandoned, for example, I don't want to be abandoned, right? Who wants to be abandoned? I don't want to be abandoned, but if the more emotional charge there is to, I don't want to be abandoned, you're literally creating that architecture within your nervous system that's constantly looking for abandonment. So if you feel abandoned often, you probably have something within your system that says, I don't want to be abandoned, and it has a lot of energy locked up into there. And that level of resistance in the system of just energy moving through is going to give you a bottleneck. And that bottleneck will specifically be designed to look for places where you're abandoned, even if there isn't abandonment in that expression of life in that moment. But because it's designed to look out for it to keep you safe from being abandoned, you actually magnetize the experience of being abandoned more often than you would if you just didn't mind if you were abandoned. And so what we go in and say, I want to be abandoned. And just watch what emotion comes up. Your words are not going to manifest that experience. What's manifesting that experience is the emotional charge of not wanting that experience, which again, creates that bottleneck and magnetizes an experience of it because of the way that you're perceiving the world around you. And your body, mind, and spirit know the difference between a command and intentionally clearing the charges around an energy in your field. If it's cancer, I want to have cancer. I want to have cancer. I want to die from cancer. I want to experience death because of cancer. Whatever you need to say in order to clear that charge. Because thoughts are electric, but emotions are magnetic. And they're going to pull that experience to you. So we can change the frequency or the electricity of the thought, but it's really the emotion, the stuck emotion, the resistance to emotion in the body that it's like taking a stone, right, and leaving it in the river of your being. It's going to constantly create that ripple. That's like what I don't want to experience, whatever it is creates in the body. Like the channel of energy is constantly flowing. It's this whole water theme today. The energy is constantly flowing through your being. And if abandonment comes by, if rejection comes by, it's just coming by. And we've all heard these things of, you know, you're not your thoughts, don't attach to your thoughts, don't attach to your feelings, just observe them. But what doesn't observe them is the part that doesn't want it. And when you're in that resistance to that experience, you just end up having that experience more, and it creates this density around and further expansion upon that wiring of thinking and feeling that literally creates the experience that you don't want to have. And when the mana, when the chi, when the life force energy of your being is flowing through the systems and organs and tissues of your body, there's no stuck energy that can create an imbalance or a dis-ease. The physical is the last to experience a dis-ease or a disorder. And you can shift that process energetically well before it becomes something physical. And this is really interesting because the frequency of a particular dis-ease can be noted by quantum computers, quantum biofeedback systems, right? They can scan your body and tell you if there's a frequency. There's this new thing that just came out. They can scan the frequency of a cold sore and tell you exactly, map it on your face where it's going to show up before you even have it, experience it. And that's because frequency comes first before the physical manifestation. So if you resolve the frequency, which is just really feeling, we can release patterns before they need to show up physically. And that doesn't mean if something shows up physically that you've done something wrong or that you have something that's unresolved. It's literally just resolution in process, in progress. And the more that you can relax into this occurring, the greater your ability to move through these processes more fluidly will occur. For example, when I was really struggling with my body, I asked, what do I need to do in order for this to heal? My body just said, resolve your anxiety. Okay, so anytime, symptoms arise, I'm just going to say to myself, thank you for showing me the anxiety that's resolving right now. So the next time you have some sort of symptom or whatever, like, show me what is resolving or show me what I need to resolve to allow this to heal now. And it's simultaneously what is resolving, but also the process of it needing to resolve can be sped up through the application of your conscious participation. So going back to my UTI example, when you're working in the bladder, that's related to a lot of resentment issues. So the UTI itself is the acidic nature of the frustration, the resentment, the bitterness that is wrapped up in the energies of whatever person, place, thing, whatever it is that you have a relationship with it that's off. And so the UTI is assisting you facing that pain by giving you a physical pain to experience that. But you can, go in and just, what do I need to resolve here? And, you'll be shown whatever needs to be faced or met or felt in order to assist that process. And the more you sit with it and the more deeply you feel, and the less you resist the pain that's actually there, the more it can actually permanently release, because they, will continue to return until it's completely faced, whatever is there to be resolved. And I know this very painfully, deeply, personally. So yeah, nothing that I'm sharing is not something that I've already done. And it's really no big deal. Whatever is going on in your body is not personal. And that's part of, what is happening consciously at this time, and why this transmission that we just went through is so important, because the flavor, especially at the beginning, was very connected to the incoming consciousness on this planet, which is like a network of consciousness. We still have personalities, we still have individuation, but the foundation is beginning to recognize itself in the container of life. And why that is so important is because when you're working with a bacteria or fungus, virus, whatever, or a disease itself, like you could say, blanket term UTI, that is something that has consciousness itself, like, and you can interface with it. But if it's something other than you, how can you truly bring it into resolution if it's something that you're fighting? So not fighting whatever it is and releasing that resistance to what is showing up in the body can be so helpful. And this understanding is why I've pretty much never taken pain pills in my life, because I always wanted to use it as a meditation, even as a kid. Like I wanted to feel the pain completely, because I felt like that was, I didn't even really know why at the time, except for I just felt like it was completing something, or it was adding something to me. I didn't really understand how to put that in words as a child, but I just wanted to feel it all as much as I could. And that doesn't mean that we can't, take pain pills or whatever. In fact, German New Medicine does talk about using Western medicine to assist in mitigating the symptoms to a certain degree. They even talk about using antibiotics if in your repair phase, because if your conflict is really, really big, then the repair phase is going to be really, really big, because it's, the frequencies are canceling each other out. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with like audio programs on your computer, but you can like cancel out frequencies by adding in the exact mirrored frequency, and it cancels out that particular part of the sound in the audio. So it's the same sort of concept. So if you can even begin thinking about what frequency is alive here, you don't need to name it, even just visualizing or intending to visualize, and just imagining the opposite mirrored frequency coming to cancel it out. and holding everything in love and neutrality. Because the parts where there's, I wrote this piece earlier this week. I said kink is the key. And it's funny because everyone was thinking that I was speaking sexually, and obviously there was that context. But what I was really referring to is this idea of heightened connection to desire and your wants, but also literal like kinks or turns in the energy. So your kink is your key. So what connects you and turns you on to life, that's really positive in nature. And then there's also the kinks that are kind of like off in our sense of self and the way that we interact with life. And there's some hidden desire within those kinks that is actually causing that. What is the gain that I'm getting out of this? And here's what I mean. A lot of us that are chronically sick in the world, I would say 9 out of 10 at least, there's something that they're getting out of being sick. And that can be getting love from a partner or your mom or your dad, or being able to pull back from obligations that you've over obligated yourself to. Sickness is really interesting when we think about these sorts of things, how we're hooked into our desires, whether consciously or unconsciously. And when you're trying to resolve patterns in your body, you have to understand where you're getting off on being in this state of either perpetual stagnancy, perpetual terror, perpetual sadness. What part of you is feeding on that? And guaranteed that part is not actually you, because you are flowing, efficient, full of vibrancy and life, pleasure, peace, harmony. Say it out loud to yourself. Where am I resisting in my body? Where am I holding tension? Notice what is there. What do you not want to feel here? And then discharge. Want to feel whatever it is. You can say it a few times, need be. Keep going through, finding any tension or resistance in the body. I want to feel misunderstood. I want to feel weak. Give myself permission to fully feel my feelings. Maybe you want to feel peace. So you might say something, I want to feel uneasy. I want to feel anxious. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to go through on your own. Really feeling the spaciousness that clears when you release that resistance. This is clearing all sorts of contracts, conflicts, just by doing this. Doesn't need to look or be more mystical than it is. And just 1 more minute. Everything in the body can be healed by the resolution that is the soul simply coming more into the body. Dis-ease and disorder in the body is simply a function of the soul being unintegrated. All bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites, they are all agents of the divine, working in perfect harmony with all of life. This is the Garden of Eden. There is nothing to fight. There is simply things to understand, understand in the body. Things to let initiate you into a deeper embodiment. So the next time that you feel something, ask yourself, what upgrade am I getting right now? We have to really start questioning this germ theory perspective that there are infectious, dangerous agents out to get you. And not that there aren't things that fucking suck when they happen, but the amount of suck is literally the amount that you're being pulled back in the slingshot of resolution as it releases its grip and you fly in the opposite direction. So the amount of suffering that you're going through, even if that dis-ease or disorder is showing up in your finances, showing up legally, showing up relationally, it's just showing you what upgrades are currently active and up for you to integrate at this time. And the more willing you are to integrate and embody those activations in your life, the sooner they will no longer have any reason to show up. Sometimes that initiation and embodiment is perseverance. And perseverance is not a fun one because it's going to last longer than you want it to. No matter how much you try to shift or change it, it's going to keep going on and on. So if it feels like something is not clearing, perhaps the energy that you're there to integrate is perseverance. And when we understand the simple architecture of life is playing in 4 quadrants. 2 of them are false. That is the victim and the victimizer. And this is literally what AI is. It's an artificial intelligence designed to give us an experience of separation. And through separation and the distortion of separation, we get to experience a victim and a victimizer. That's within the container of something else being here other than God that is hurting or harming us. That's victim or victimizer. And we've played both roles. So there's no, it's whatever. Then there's value and virtue. Victim and victimizer create the waves and patterns of disease and disorder in the body, mind, and spirit. And value and virtue are what transform it and resolve it to completion. So if you take in Anatomy of Awakening or Anatomy of Knowing, probably both, I talk about this often, the gut, the na'au, presence, original innocence. We come out of original innocence through trauma. We get initiated through the heart, through the rebel and the hero. And then we go into the mind, which is the final resting place of fragmented consciousness called the victim or the victimizer. And then we integrate back down, receiving the power of the mind, collapsing understanding into the intelligence of the heart. Most people stop here. This is heart-centered consciousness. And then you return through the love and light back into, which is like a subtler form of hero and rebel, right? We're trying to like make sure that everything can be organized in a way that feels good, which isn't wrong. It's just not necessarily everything that's going to assist you in full resolution, because full resolution is touching into the rage. Healing's that spectrum between rage to absolute rage and total compassion. So we receive that compassion on the way down, but we also have to touch into the root of the body, which has a rage, a fire that is burning, a passion that actually assists the heart on its heart-centered journey and expression through a grounded way of fiercely protecting the innocence. And this is the wise innocence. It is your original innocence, which was never tainted or corrupted, but it has explored through the experience of separation all these aspects of consciousness which are incoherent and incompatible to who it is and who it is becoming. But now, residing back in the gut, it understands the values and virtues of life through the container of wisdom, which was everything that you've experienced up until this point, and through the journey of fragmentation and reintegration into the body. And through the ascension process, the body is the final piece to integrate all that is awakened in your consciousness. And so many of us are or will be going through extraordinary physical transformations because the body is starting to come online with the consciousness that has already been downloaded and integrated onto the planet, and the physical is catching up because the physical is that last representation of spirit in form. So it's really exciting what's happening right now. And I know that we covered a lot today, but I just want to boil and bring everything into conclusion. You don't have to know anything about how or why I know anything I share or experience. All you have to do is do that final piece that we did, which is going in, relax, getting your body as relaxed as possible, sitting up straight, getting in tune with the energies in your body. And at first, there may be a lot of density, but that's not your density. It's simply the density that your body is carrying, that as you sit with yourself and allow your consciousness to drop into physical form is going to press out of your body. So the more still you become, it's the more anchored you become and relaxed in this body, the more all that stuff is going to arise. And then that's when people stop. That's when most people stop and they're like, oh, like there's fear. I want to be afraid. I want this to last longer than I desire it to exist. I want to have cancer. I want to have AIDS. I want to be abandoned by my mother. I want to be raped. I want to be rejected by society. I want to be whatever it is, whatever is inside of that body that is a rock in the river of the flow of consciousness and life force in your being. So this is that cleaning aspect. What's also really interesting, and I always get excited because in client sessions, I always intend to like, I listen to what the intention is, and then I'm like, okay, let's go way beyond that, And there is some serious activations that happened today that I was actually planning for the last class, and that's where we are halfway here. So where we're going from here on out is definitely way beyond what I was originally intending myself. And just being witness to the transformations that are occurring, honoring that, the waves and patterns that are showing up as we're going through this process is accelerated. Not everyone is having the same experience as you in this container, because we are calling calling upon and activating all that is ready to rise up and release through this processing. And you showing up and being here is an acknowledgement of that moment in which it already occurred. The 2 weeks prior to this, between this class and the last class, you were already in the wave and function of what was guaranteed to be completed now. So again, just honoring going forward, everything that shows up between now and the next class is just the wave and function of what is guaranteed to be completed in that class. So when things start to show up in this intermediary period, releasing resistance to whatever that is, allowing it to wash over you, allowing it to clean you. Because what I'm bringing through here is an intelligence of its own. I'm literally in service to it. I did not even write an outline for today's class. This is just what came through. So I am in complete trust to the intelligence that is moving us forward collectively. And I am honored to be a voice for that, to be here with us. But this is our consciousness coming alive within us all. And we are now anchor points of a collective consciousness within individuated bodies that are here to accelerate and release these codes that we are all receiving throughout all of reality and throughout wherever we are located physically. And that is blossoming new consciousness into the grid of wherever you exist and wherever you travel now and moving forward. And so this is a very exciting time to be alive, because the refinement that is available here is causing so much chaos in the outer world, but that is actually just showing you the wave and function of what is already destined to be completed at a certain time. But if you focus on the inner journey of what is happening and bringing you into physical form, rather than on the chaos, the symptoms, the patterns, the emotions that are coming up, you can just be aware that those are just showing you what has already been resolved by coming through. And you can look at everything that's occurring within or throughout your life and your life experience, or the world as a projection of reality. Thank you for showing me what is already resolved. Thank you for showing me that this issue is solved. And that alignment and the simplicity of simply going within and releasing, letting whatever needs to rise, release, and releasing resistance to that and feeling it to completion allows you to move forward at a pace that's beyond what anyone thinks is possible. Because we're in the bandwidth of instant upload and download from heaven and earth. We are that bridge, and that software is being upgraded to degrees of integration that have never been experienced on this planet before. And you are all amazing participants with me in awe and reverence to that which has occurred today. I love you. Dang. Well, I am supercharged with energy. I can ask any question or answer any questions if you guys have anything to ask me. I will type out homework because it's a little process of cleaning sexual energy that will, I mean, we already did some of that today, but I find that going one person by one person at a time and doing the clearing. I remember releasing a French lover that I had in San Francisco like so many years ago. And I literally felt like this sadness that was like stuck in my gut for all these years that wasn't mine, that I had picked up from him, you know? And he was a sweet French lover, right? Like, why am I holding this person's sadness? But that interchange of energy, we hold things. So doing release work around that will be profound in your energy field, and I'm excited for you guys to do that. The other homework is simply listening to that podcast for German New Medicine. I also sent a link in the group. I will repost those for the PDF version of the book, Psychic Roots of Disease, which Gonzalo thankfully provided me. And so I have that downloaded on my phone. You can do the same. You can search it completely free. You don't need to purchase the book. It's offered freely. And yeah, and always remember, if there's something that you want to check in within yourself first, and then get the answer from the reference books, because that will begin to strengthen and tonify that psychic channel and connection and communion with your body, because now it really is a communion between your consciousness and your body, and that relationship will become increasingly important. So
Thank you.